I'm back. I'm back. Okay. Where's my vape at? I feel like I said too much on this channel. I woke up this morning just feeling like a huge weight lifted off of me, but still having that feeling like I said too much. I think the weight being lifted off me though is my reward. When I went to the baby shower I mentioned, I cried 3 times, but I don't think anybody noticed, so that's good. What else? I slept all day today, basically, but I found time to jump out of my slumber, take a shower, and brush my teeth, so that made the day better. It's the little things. I went back to my old meal that I used to eat every day, and I overate as usual, and I was gonna keep going, but I couldn't, so I stopped. I would say I'm at 91% full. You're supposed to stop at 85. I started hitting the gas around 85. Couldn't make it up that hill. There was still like 20% of the food that I had plated left, so and then I just mindlessly scrolled through YouTube, and I could muster enough energy to actually watch a video, because that's where we're at right now. We don't even have energy to watch a video, and don't even get me started about playing a video game. That takes way more energy. But with the video we did watch, because we're supposed to be watching videos pertaining what this actual channel's about, and I feel like we took a couple detours, but this video summed up something I've been trying to articulate, so let's just watch this.
How much could you save by switching your car insurance to Allstate? Well, let's say this is you. Hello. And this is you with $468.
The most expensive tax you pay isn't financial. It's the wisdom tax. The years spent learning lessons that could have been acquired in minutes. You see, most people spend decades discovering what a few realize much sooner. That life follows predictable patterns that, once recognized, transform everything. The difference between where you are and where you could be isn't just knowledge. It's the right knowledge, applied at the right time. Think about it. How many times have you finally understood something and thought, I wish I'd known this years ago? We've all been there. That moment when a single insight makes years of struggle suddenly unnecessary. It's like we're all playing the same game, but some people got the instruction manual while the rest of us are learning through painful trial and error. Here's what's fascinating, though. These insights aren't secret. They're hiding in plain sight, obscured only by our assumptions about how things work. In the next few minutes, I'll share the mental models that took me decades to discover, but could have saved me years of unnecessary struggle. Let's start with perhaps the most fundamental realization. Your mental models determine what's possible for you. Chapter 1, Mental Model Upgrade. Your mental models are the invisible operating system running your life. They determine what opportunities you can perceive, what solutions seem viable, and what outcomes feel possible. Yet most of us never examine them. We're like fish, unaware of the water we swim in. Ever noticed how two people can look at the exact same situation and see completely different possibilities? That's not personality, that's mental models at work. Let me give you a concrete example. Most people operate with a scarcity model around time. There's never enough. But what if time abundance is actually possible through intention, not efficiency? Instead of trying to cram more into each day, what if you fundamentally reimagined your relationship with time? We're funny creatures. We'll spend years mastering Excel, but won't spend 20 minutes understanding our own thinking patterns. Here's the reality check. Your mental models are either a bridge to possibilities or a barrier to progress. And upgrading them is the highest leverage activity available to you. But there's a catch. Seeing your own mental models is like trying to see the back of your head without a mirror. You need reflection tools. One powerful tool is inversion, thinking backward from the outcome you want. Another is seeking evidence against your beliefs, rather than confirmation of them. These mental model upgrades alone can rewire how you approach every challenge, but they require something most people resist: deliberate discomfort. Chapter 2, the attention economy. Let's talk about the most valuable currency you possess: your attention. In a world designed to fracture and monetize it, the ability to direct your focus is a superpower. Yet most of us never learn attention management. We're taught time management instead. It's like being handed a leaky bucket and being told to carry more water instead of fixing the holes. Here's what took me too long to realize. Attention management matters infinitely more than time management. Think about it this way. You have the same 24 hours as everyone else, but what you do with your focused attention within those hours determines everything. Most people's attention is fragmented across dozens of inputs, outputs, and distractions. But what if you practiced radical selectivity? This brings us to a counterintuitive insight: the power of selective ignorance. We live in the first era of human history where the problem isn't accessing information, it's filtering it. Yet we still behave as if more information automatically leads to better decisions. It's like drinking from a fire hose when what you need is a cup of water. The wisdom that transforms lives isn't about knowing more things. It's about knowing the right things and applying them consistently. We're so busy consuming information that we never create the space for integration and implementation. It's the difference between collecting ingredients and actually cooking the meal. Here's the paradigm shift. What if you treated your attention with the same care as your most valuable financial investment? Chapter 3, Decision-Making Deconstructed. Your life is essentially the sum of your decisions, yet nobody ever taught you decision-making in school. We learn calculus, but not how to choose a career. We study historical dates, but not how to evaluate life options. It's truly bizarre when you think about it. Let me share 3 decision-making upgrades that changed everything for me. First, the 72-hour rule. For any important decision, give yourself at least 3 days before committing. This creates space between impulse and action, where wisdom lives. Second-order thinking. Most people only consider the immediate effects of their decisions. But truly successful decision makers ask, and then what? And what might result from that? Third, and most powerful, inversion. Instead of asking, how do I get what I want? Ask, what's preventing me from getting what I want? This simple flip resolves problems that forward thinking can't touch. For example, don't ask, how do I become successful? Ask, what's causing me to fail? The answers reveal your actual obstacles rather than theoretical paths. Funny how we'll question a $20 purchase for hours, but won't question beliefs we've held for decades, isn't it? Here's the insight that ties it all together. Most problems aren't solved through brilliant solutions. They're solved through better problem definition. If you're solving the wrong problem, it doesn't matter how good your solution is. But implementing better decisions requires something most people miss entirely. Chapter 4, the implementation gap. There's a chasm between knowing and doing that most people never cross. It's called the implementation gap. We live in an age of unprecedented access to information. Yet transformation remains as elusive as ever.
My Geico motorcycle policy can cover my helmet too, so if it gets damaged, they'll replace it. I'm on cloud 9.
Disclaimer, clouds cannot support human weight, and even if you...
Why? Because we've been culturally programmed to overvalue knowledge and undervalue implementation. Think about it. We celebrate the person who reads 100 books a year more than the person who fully implements the wisdom from one book. Most advice is like trying to download software to a computer that doesn't have the right operating system. The information is correct, but the implementation environment isn't compatible. Here's the breakthrough insight. Tiny, consistent actions trump sporadic, heroic efforts. The compound effect applies to everything, not just money. Your habits, relationships, knowledge, they all compound for better or worse. When you truly understand this, you realize that small daily actions aren't just nice to have. They're the entire game. That's why the person who meditates for 10 minutes daily will transform more than someone who does a weekend retreat once a year. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to implement change through willpower alone. This is like trying to drive a car by pushing it. Technically possible, but wildly inefficient. What if there was a better way? Chapter 5, System Design versus Willpower. Environment design trumps willpower every single time. This isn't motivational, it's mathematical. Think about it. Willpower is a finite, fluctuating resource, but your environment is consistent and ever-present. When you understand this shift, you stop trying to become a more disciplined person and start creating environments where discipline isn't required. We're always shocked when our willpower fails, as if we shouldn't have predictable human limitations. It's like being surprised that gravity still works. The successful people you admire aren't necessarily more disciplined. They've just created systems that make success the path of least resistance. This leads us to another counterintuitive insight. Focus on systems instead of goals. Goals are about the destination. Systems are about the journey. Goals provide direction, but systems create results. When you understand this distinction, you realize something profound. The goal isn't the point, the system is. For instance, don't focus on losing 20 pounds. Focus on creating a system where healthy eating and regular movement are the default, not the exception. Here's what's fascinating. When you get the system right, the goals take care of themselves. But systems don't exist in isolation. They operate within the context of relationships. Chapter 6, Relationship Dynamics Decoded. Most relationship problems stem from a simple reality: unstated expectations. We expect others to behave according to rules they never agreed to. Think about it. How many times have you been upset with someone for violating an expectation you never actually communicated? I spent years being frustrated before realizing this truth. Most arguments aren't about facts, but unstated emotional needs. When someone is upset about the dishes, they're rarely just upset about the dishes. The dishes are a proxy for deeper needs: respect, contribution, appreciation. Once you understand this pattern, you see it everywhere. The content of an argument is rarely the actual cause of the argument. Here's another relationship insight that had a profound impact on me. People remember how you made them feel, not what you said. We spend so much time crafting our words, but the emotional impact we leave is what truly matters. This isn't just touchy-feely wisdom. It's practical reality. Relationships also follow a fascinating pattern. They're shaped more by who you become than by what you do. This brings us to perhaps the most transformative relationship insight: the profound impact of selecting your peer group intentionally. You've heard that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but it goes deeper than that. Your peer group doesn't just influence your thinking, it determines what thoughts are even possible for you. We're so busy trying to network up that we forget the most important relationship skill: genuine connection. It's funny how we trust the Yelp reviews of strangers more than we trust our own intuition about people, isn't it? These relationship patterns connect directly to how we approach success and achievement. Chapter 7, The Success Paradox. Most people pursue success in ways virtually guaranteed to prevent it. This is called success paradox. We chase certainty in a world defined by uncertainty. We follow prescribed paths in an era that rewards unique approaches. Let me share 3 success insights that completely changed my trajectory. First, the true cost of perfectionism isn't failure, it's missed opportunities. While you're polishing version 1.0, Someone else is already getting feedback on version 0.5. Second, success comes from reverse engineering, not from following prescriptions. Study what worked for others, extract the principles, then adapt them to your unique context. Third, and most counterintuitive, there are profound benefits to strategic quitting. The most successful people aren't just good at starting things, they're excellent at stopping things that don't serve their larger vision. When you realize this, you understand that persistence isn't a virtue in itself. It's only valuable when you...
What is going on? Thought this was full screen. What the hell is going on? Does that mean we're done streaming? Did it kick us off a stream? Do you need Wi-Fi to stream? Is the world nice and clean?
Meet Shock CryoGlow, the new mid-spa-inspired mask with under-eye cooling. IQ LED technology.
The most expensive tax you pay isn't financial. It's the wisdom tax. The years spent learning lessons. Realize this, you understand that persistence isn't a virtue in itself. It's only valuable when you're persisting in the right direction. We celebrate the entrepreneurs who finally succeeded on their 10th attempt. But we rarely ask, what if they had changed direction on attempt 3? Might they have succeeded sooner? This is the moment you realize you've been playing life on hard mode because you didn't read the instructions. But here's where true transformation happens. When you shift your approach from goal-based to identity-based. Chapter 8, Identity-Based Transformation. Most change efforts fail because they focus on the wrong level of change. They target behaviors when they should target identity. Think about it. When someone identifies as a runner, they don't need willpower to run. It's simply an expression of who they are. Identity-based habits create lasting change, while goal-based ones typically fail. This is why the person who says, "I'm the kind of person who exercises daily," will outperform the person who says, "I need to exercise more," every single time. Let's make this concrete. Instead of saying, "I want to write a book," say, "I am a writer." Notice how different these statements feel. One is about having, the other is about being. We all know someone who's been trying to quit smoking for years. But have you noticed how the person who says, "I'm not a smoker anymore," actually succeeds? That awkward moment when you discover most of your choices were actually social scripts. The most powerful identity shift happens when you understand this truth. You're not your thoughts. You are the awareness that observes your thoughts. When this truly lands, you stop being a victim of your mental patterns and start becoming their architect. This brings us to our final chapter, where all these insights converge into a unified approach. Chapter 9, Wisdom Integration. Everything we've discussed fits together into a cohesive whole. The mental models you hold determine what opportunities you can perceive. Your attention management determines what inputs shape those mental models. Your decision-making processes determine what paths you take. Your implementation approach determines whether knowledge becomes transformation. Your systems determine whether changes become permanent. Your relationships determine the context in which all of this happens. Your success approach determines the ultimate trajectory. And your identity determines whether any of it feels authentic and sustainable. When you understand how these elements interact, you develop something remarkable: wisdom. Not just knowledge, but embodied understanding that transforms how you live. The wisdom tax is real. Most people will spend decades discovering these patterns. But you don't have to. Screenshots and notes can help you remember information. But implementation is what transforms information into wisdom. And here's what I wish someone had told me 30 years ago. The goal isn't to accumulate more knowledge. It's to need less. Understanding yourself is the foundation of all other understanding. When you truly know how your own mind works, everything else becomes clearer. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just consume this as content. Identify one insight that resonated most deeply and implement it immediately. Because wisdom without action isn't wisdom at all. It's just trivia. The most powerful question you can ask yourself isn't, what do I need to learn? But what am I ready to implement? 30 years from now, what will you wish you had understood today? Whatever your answer, start there. The wisdom is already within you. And hey, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe.
Please
and hit that like
subscribe,
button.
guys. Please. Anyway. I'm willing to implement what we discussed. Alright. My identity is not the most flattering right now, but hopefully we can change that. You know what? It's flattering to me. With all the context, it's pretty flattering. I don't know. With context, it's pretty admirable. In fact, I shouldn't shoot myself down so much.
While others wait, Land Rover Arrowhead acts. We've secured a limited number of the
Shouldn't
new
shoot
2025
yourself down
Defender
so
vehicles.
much. And then we have another video. I forgot what it was, but we'll see in a second. Oh, yes. So, guys, there was one thing I did not think about. I thought about everything. I thought about every little detail. And I even thought about the detail that we couldn't think about every little detail as a specific detail. And that we would have to do a lot of things on the spot. Right? As we try to gain some type of stability in an environment where that will be virtually impossible. Considering the fact that we'll be spending most of our time in the wild. And I thought about all the creatures that may bother me. And I thought of solutions and locations and protocols. Decking everything out with cameras since, I already live in a society where that's the norm. But there was very little concern or thought in the direction of the supernatural, considering the fact we claim to have some sort of relationship with an higher. And the aliens and the things like that, though I wouldn't mock them, I would keep my consciousness clean enough to be at least someone that, if were to be visited by such things in a negative light, it would be it would be a problem. And the consideration that, no one's innocent, but, I have my ideas of protection from those sort of things. And so, with this small fact I had neglected, and with me saying previously that I am taking in all information I hear, Well, I heard a encounter story with one of these beasts that had happened a long time ago, but was still very much clear in the person's mind describing this to me. And like I said earlier, having a relationship with what I deem to be some sort of higher, the main reason we're doing this trip, I couldn't just shovel off that story. You know, I can't shovel off any of this stuff. I'm doing something really extreme. And this account of the story even linked the creature Bigfoot to the Bible. And now I'm even listening harder. So, with that being said, out of all the things we thought about, and I'm not being funny right now, that's the reason why Nip Slip didn't get posted. Nip Slip didn't get posted because the audio went out. So, but the nip is very clear in the video. Anyway, so I have to take consideration of all these things I'm hearing, man. I'll be damned. You should take these things like warnings when you get them in life, not just when you're getting ready to do crazy trips. This crazy trip should extend throughout my whole life, and the patterns that I accumulate should, in fact, make effortless, as described in the video we watched previously. But with that being said, I guess I left off Bigfoot previously. That I put enough things together in my mind to come to the conclusion that it didn't garner any concern. But considering the fact I'm now going to be in its alleged territory, I don't think we should laugh off any of that. Especially considering the fact that when I was watching one of these videos, I don't know much about Bigfoot, but when I was watching one of these videos, Washington seems to be their stomping ground, and we're not too far from there, considering the fact that I've heard accounts of these things teleporting and doing all sorts of types of beyond humanly things. So, not only considering the fact that if it wanted to, it could crush any part of my body in 2 seconds with just a little squeeze, we're gonna have to actually take this seriously. At least if we are in the grips of a Bigfoot getting ready to spill our last drop of blood, we won't be fully ignorant to its existence. Maybe it'll have some sort of respect for that and let us go. I heard they can do telepathy. He'd be like, I seen your video and I thought you were joking, but reading your mind right now, I can tell that you were very serious. So I'm going to let you go. But this type of respect cross species is what we're trying to garner with our type of lifestyle. A lifestyle that could even make an ancient being beyond the realms of our reality, say, well, this wouldn't be fair, I'll let you go. Or not even have a consideration of what fair is, but just say, well, I don't wish to destroy this human being. So, with all that being said, I guess we can watch this video and see sort of a compilation of what bring this to my attention by hearing this person's story and their connection to Bigfoot, to the Bible. This video sums up it without me, revealing their story. I don't know if they want to share it with the world or not. But this right here sums up exactly where my attention has now been tuned, just in case of an encounter. So this is a little more exciting than the last video. So let's go ahead and watch this. How long is that? 5 minutes? That's fine.
Hey guys, I'm John Barklow. I'm a professional survival instructor. So I spent over 20
In this video, I'll be making the comparisons between the biblical Nephilim giants and the mysterious creature known as Bigfoot. I'll also be using scripture to make these similarities between the two anomalies. Firstly, let me explain the individual creatures separately, so you have more of an understanding on the two creatures in order to grasp this concept, unveiled by the Holy Scriptures. Bigfoot is a well-known cryptid creature documented primarily by people in North America. According to the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, the top state for Sasquatch sightings is Washington, where there have been 708 credible sightings. Bigfoot is described as being a humanoid creature estimated to be around 8 to 15 feet tall. And a cryptid is known as a creature that is found in stories and that some people believe exists or say they have seen, but that has never been proven to exist. However, there is indeed proof of these beings existing. Not only the many first-hand accounts of the creature, but also the Holy Bible itself tells us this. Genesis 6 verse 4 says, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." So this verse literally tells us that some of the Nephilim giants survived the flood, and we can even imply that some are potentially alive today, based upon these mysterious cryptid sightings. The question is, what would these ancient Nephilim giants look like today? Well, obviously, if these beings are still on Earth with us, they clearly do not come in contact with humans frequently, meaning these beings would most likely inhabit remote areas such as forest, woods, and Arctic regions. I say this because Bigfoot is the name of the creatures that usually inhabit wooded areas, while Yetis are described as beings which inhabit the regions with freezing temperatures. So if the Nephilim are still alive today and they avoid human contact, then these creatures would begin to look animalistic over time, as they spend most of their time in the wild. This is based off of the assumption the Nephilim giants had an appearance similar to that of humans, besides the height difference, of course. The Bible mentions a king that was cursed, and his punishment was having to inhabit the wilderness for a period of 7 years. Daniel 4 verse 25 to 33 tells us about a king named Nebuchadnezzar being punished by God because he proclaimed himself as being on God's level. Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylon, and he was doomed to transform into a wild creature for a total of 7 years. Here's the story of the king of Babylon being turned into a wild beast. Daniel 4 verse 25 says, "You will be driven away from people and will live with the wild animals. You will eat grass like the ox and be drenched with the dew of heaven. 7 times will pass by for you until you acknowledge that the Most High is sovereign over all kingdoms on earth and gives them to anyone he wishes." And then Daniel 4 verse 33 explains the transformation of Nebuchadnezzar. It says, "Immediately what had been said about Nebuchadnezzar was fulfilled. He was driven away from people and ate grass like the ox. His body was drenched with the dew of heaven until his hair grew like the feathers of an eagle and his nails like the claws of a bird." So as we can see, there is some description of a mysterious human-like creature written about in the Bible that exists within the wilderness. Now let's briefly go over the Nephilim's origin. It all started when a group of angels known as the Watchers descended from heaven tasked to watch over humanity. These angels' name translates to the sons of God and the sons of heaven. And we can see these angels spoken about in the Bible, as well as in the book of Enoch. The Watchers are described in 2 Enoch as looking like humans, but giant in comparison. These angels began to lust for humans, and this union is what created the giants. This union is also described in the Bible in Genesis 6. The Bible reads, "When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose." Then the next verse goes on to explain the Nephilim in the earth in those days. They were also terrorizing humanity, which is why God flooded the earth. So are these alleged Bigfoot sightings more biblical than we initially perceived? I happen to think so due to the word of God explaining the king of Babylon being cursed to the wilderness for being prideful. So my final question is it possible that God also punished the remaining Nephilim giants in the same fashion for tormenting humans? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing.
Alright, y'all might not have to care, because y'all safe around other people that can be like, hey, there's a Bigfoot in the middle of the street, and they probably wouldn't go there. But I'm the right person for him to fuck with. So with that being said, I want to say to aliens, if I'm supposed to, I don't know if you guys are demons or not. I just said that because Tucker Carlson said it, and it might be true, but I'm not just gonna blanket statement all of you guys like that. So I don't know, but this is my prayer. Just like I said, my prayer was for anybody with ill intentions that was coming towards me and my new lifestyle, that they would unravel those intentions before they got to me and be on another trajectory to something higher or better. So with that being said, as far as the creatures and stuff that may have those same intents, yeah, I put that on them as well. And then yeah, just let me not see any of that crazy shit, because so far I haven't seen any of that stuff in my life, and I'm not really knocking on the door to see any of that stuff. I mean, I know I'm going in their territory, but I thought this planet was ours. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if they got an area, like if one of them come up to me and he say, this is my area right here, and have a little respect, I'm like, alright, man, shit. You know what I'm saying? But anything other than that, you know, I ain't for that craziness. You know what I'm saying? If they come up to me and they like, alright, this is where I start being funny, but everything else I said was serious, and this is serious too, but I gotta make it funny because it sounds crazy. Everything else sounded normal, I said. If they come up to me and they're like, hey man, you people are polluting the water, man. They're polluting the fucking fish, man. I'm getting poisoned. Some guys back there got cancer. We're magical beings. What the fuck? And I'm like, bro, my bad, man. That's not even me. And they like, yeah, it is you. And I'm like, my bad, bro. I'm not trying to disrespect you. And then, that's how I sound when I'm in the hood. I'm not trying to respect you, bro. Damn, that's deep. Maybe I should say that. I'm not trying to respect you. Drop to your knees for the Lord, the higher power, while he watches us. And I'll squint a little bit before he like tries to decapitate me. I'm trying to do some shit like that, so before he like decapitates me, like God might like shoot a lightning bolt out real quick and stop him or something. Hopefully, there's nobody else out there, so I feel like God might throw a little favor like that. I feel like he might throw some favors if ain't nobody watching, really. You know what I'm saying? Might throw a little favor out. Then after the rest of the Bigfoot see that, they like, oh shit. Now I'm a fucking forest tourist, tour guide. I'm like, alright y'all, I'll take y'all deep in the forest, just follow me. Bigfoot's walking up to somebody. I'm like, hey, you gotta stay away from them. I tell the guy, I'm like, hey, pray, man, pray, it'll get away from you. He's like, I'm an atheist. I'm saying, pray, motherfucker. Yep, but so we've talked about that now. We don't have to talk about that again. I'm trying to cover all these bases. I'm really serious. I'm not too really worried about running into an angel. If he just starts beating my ass, I'll be like, okay, that's probably from God. I'm probably fucking up. We're going out there for confirmation. I'm gonna be alone. God's gonna be there. All the shit I talk, he'd be like, you don't know me. And just start welling on me. But that's good for everyone in society because he got rid of me. Now, if that's not the case, then we'll find out. If I come back to society, we know. If I don't come back to society, then I wasn't meant to be. And that's how we're going to operate. Alright. I got my mailbox and all that stuff set up just recently. I'm geeked about that. We can start receiving fan mail. And we're gonna get everything set up. We're gonna get everything in line. And I'm done being lazy. It's basically, I can't be lazy no more. You heard what I said. I slept all day today. We can't ever be lazy again. It's not like we're gonna have all the effort in the world. We're just setting shit up to where it's like sink or swim, motherfucker. And then it's also, we're setting things up to be like, look, your whole day's full of action. You can't claim to be lazy no more. You can't be lazy. It's not an option. I didn't put it in the schedule. And the schedule is as long as time. As long as I'm alive, I have to follow the schedule. So I can't really be lazy anymore. The only way I could be lazy is probably on like Sundays, Saturdays, and Fridays. The days that I have scheduled for the days I don't work. But let's say I take up a shift on that day or whatever the case may be, those days are only going to allow me to be lazy for 8 hours of them at a time. Never going to be able to be lazy more than 8 hours. All right. And if I were to be lazy more than 8 hours, it would throw off my schedule, throw off my whole week, maybe my whole year. Like, this is really, I'm orbiting around this schedule. And if it's thrown off, we're going to be set off into a disarray. The only person that should ever be able to destroy this schedule will be my significant other and my children. And what I'm thinking is, well, so be it. But at the end of the day, right now, my schedule has not garnered me enough money to even have those troubles. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's only us that can destroy our schedule. And, by doing so, destroying ourselves and our future potentials and the future content. I don't care if this ever blows up, this channel, because my schedule is the prize. Following that to a T is the prize. Anything I do with that energy afterwards is the prize. Like, how long do we keep this up? Maybe the whole nomadic part takes a drop off when we have to be in one location. But I imagine if we want to do the whole comedy stuff and things like that, it still persists. I want this to be a short video. I just really want to be consistent, guys, and just keep uploading. So let's say this is a short video. I'm sorry I'm not bringing that much energy. Never have you seen me outside of this bed. And for all you know, I'm fucking lying and I never leave this bed. Which is kind of funny. The clickbait on this is I never leave this bed. Alright? Because I just realized we have to come up with a title. So, there you go. Now, any questions? Any questions, leave your question down in the comments. I'm not going to read them. But you can put them down in the comments. Now, should I have a TikTok? That's one question you can answer. Should I have a Bigfoot video? Too late. Actually, this is my Bigfoot video? No, because we're not mocking Bigfoot. We're serious. Let's make it a Bigfoot video. Yeah, let's do that. And then, yeah, I'll see you guys. Okay. How long is this video? It's almost an hour. I'll see you guys. Okay, bye. And you know what? Where you at? There you are. Stay tuned for the next one.